So I'm. It's interesting. So if I'm going to take the cynical part of this because I want you to defend this effectively. So if I'm a cynic, I say, okay, well, that to me as a scientist, I say I'm not a scientist, but one scientist might say, well, that's all seems anecdotal. You know, how do you link those up? Where's the science to back that up? The link between what you're saying is happening and what the relationship between the lights and the effect of cancer.
Absolutely. Classic study done way back in about 2005. So we've known this for 20 years. But the classic study working out some of the mechanisms was to take human breast cancer cells from women who have breast cancer and implant the tumors in the skin of rats. And then the tumors would grow. And if you put those rats in light during the nighttime, the tumors grow fast. If you put them in the dark, the tumors grow slow. But now what they did is they took blood samples from women who were either sitting up, they were nurses, they were either sitting up in bright LED lights where there was, or bright blue rich lights, which suppressed their melatonin. So their blood samples were very low in melatonin. And then on another night, they left them in the pitch dark and their melatonin went way up as it normally would. And so that we had melatonin blood that was rich in melatonin. Now, those blood samples were taken down to the rats and fed into the rats. And lo and behold, what happened is the melatonin-rich blood samples, which is the signal, caused the cancer cells' growth to slow way down. Whereas when the blood that didn't have any melatonin in it was infused, the cancer cells kept on growing. So you get some idea that we can actually trace those mechanisms out. That classic study was done by a team down at Tulane, as I say, 20 years ago. And there's been just a host of other data. I mean, I can tell you bits and pieces. We know that in countries in the world where there is no electricity, still there's some places in Africa where electricity hasn't reached. The cancer rate per 100,000 women is about 20 per 100,000 women. And in the Western Europe and in Eastern US, where it's dense, populated, lots of light, lots of LEDs, we see about 140 compared to 20 cases of breast cancer per year per 100,000 women. Interestingly, women who cannot or sufficiently blind that they cannot detect this light have very low rates of breast cancer if they've had it since an early age, since childhood. Their blindness. So with lots and lots of bits and pieces of evidence that put this together, as well as lots of studies that have shown precisely the role of melatonin in helping suppress cancers and so forth. There is a very large body. The total population of peer-reviewed, that's the highest scientific validity of science, about 20,000 papers in this area in the last 20 years. So it's a very well-established field.
So why is it? So this is the first time that I'm hearing this. I mean, and I consider myself fairly educated, but why is this not well known?
Well, it's amazing. I think one of the diagnoses is that scientists speak to each other, but they don't talk to their neighbor over the garden fence. It somehow hasn't penetrated through. And this is one of the reasons I wrote my book, The Light Doctor, to try to break through that barrier. It's essentially, my wife, was so curious about this that, we live in a very well-educated town with a lot of people with advanced degrees. And my wife likes to go up to people in the street, say, do you know that light at night, blue-rich light at night is causing increase in breast cancer and prostate cancer? And, all these educated people didn't have a clue. So that's part of the mission. That's why I joined podcasts such as yours, because, getting the word out, and then a lot of things make a lot of sense once people understand that. And the good news is I'm not just complaining about a problem. We've actually gone through and actually figured out how to create lights, and those lights are now available today, coming onto the market and being available, that actually can deal with this problem. We could equip your house with the right lights to solve this problem.